Most women don't realize this, but the first 5 seconds of how a man greets you can reveal more than an hour-long conversation ever will. His tone, his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the way he says your name. It's all a window into how he really feels about you. See, when a man is crazy about you, he doesn't just say, hey, he lights up. There's a shift in his energy, a softness in his face, an urgency in his presence. Like he's been waiting for you to show up all day, and now the room finally feels right. But here's the twist. Not all men are bold enough to put their feelings into words. That's why their greeting, those few seconds of unfiltered emotion, is where the truth hides, before the mask, before the charm, before the act. So if you've ever left an interaction wondering, did that mean anything? This video is for you, because today we're decoding the subtle but powerful signals in how a man greets you, so you never have to second guess his interest again. And once you learn this, you'll never look at hello the same way. Let's dive in. When it comes to romantic interest, men rarely say exactly what they feel. Not because they don't care, but because they're wired differently when it comes to emotional expression. For most men, especially in the early stages of attraction, vulnerability feels risky. So instead of using direct language like I'm really into you, they show it in more subtle ways, often without even realizing it. Psychologically speaking, men tend to reveal attraction through action, proximity, and energy shifts, not declarations. And the first place this shows up is in how they greet you. Let's talk about what's actually happening in a man's brain. When a man feels emotionally or physically drawn to you, his brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That surge can result in heightened excitement, a faster heartbeat, and increased attentiveness. He may unconsciously lean in more, his pupils dilate, or his voice shifts to a warmer, softer tone. All signs his brain has flagged you as important. This is where instinct kicks in. Even if he doesn't say it out loud, his body will respond to you. He might try to appear more confident, straightening his posture or deepening his voice. He might make more eye contact than usual, or show visible signs of nervousness, like fidgeting or adjusting his clothes. Why? Because he wants to be seen in the best light. It's attraction manifesting as subtle performance. And let's not forget the power of emotional safety. A man is more likely to reveal his genuine interest when he feels he won't be judged or rejected. So if he senses that you're warm, open, and grounded in your own energy, he'll likely drop more of his emotional guard during that initial interaction. That greeting becomes his quiet way of saying, I want to be near you. Interestingly, one of the biggest indicators of male interest isn't necessarily in what he says, it's in what he remembers. If he greets you by referring to something you mentioned earlier, maybe a detail about your job, your favorite coffee, or a small story you shared, it's a clue. That's his brain storing what matters, because you matter. For men, focused memory is often a form of affection. But not all interest is confident. Some men get awkward around the women they like the most. Their greeting might come out clumsy or overly casual, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. This is where many women get confused. You might think he barely said hi, when in reality he was overthinking every move because he was hoping not to mess it up. In short, male attraction isn't always loud, it's layered. It's in the flicker of a smile, the delayed goodbye, the way he makes space for you in a crowded room. The greeting is his emotional tell, the moment his guard drops, even if just for a second. Once you learn to read that, really read it, you'll stop chasing clarity and start seeing it unfold right in front of you. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. And when it comes to attraction, this couldn't be more true. Before a man even opens his mouth, his eyes have already spoken. And if you know how to read them, you'll see a truth he might never say out loud. Here's the reality. Most men are not taught to express affection openly, but their eyes often betray their inner feelings. When a man is genuinely drawn to you, there's a shift in how he looks at you. And that shift is not accidental. It's instinctual. It's raw. It's real. Let's break it down. When he sees you and his eyes light up, that's not just flattery, that's chemistry. His pupils may dilate slightly, which is a biological response to excitement and arousal. He may blink slower or faster, depending on how calm or nervous he is. And most importantly, he'll hold eye contact just a little longer than usual, because he's not just seeing you, he's absorbing you. Watch for the difference between a passing glance and a full presence. If he pauses when he sees you walk in, if his eyes scan your face slowly before he even speaks, if he looks slightly stunned, as if he forgot his words for a second, that's not just politeness. That's attraction rising to the surface before he can control it. And there's a deeper layer to this. A man who is emotionally connected to you won't just look at you, he'll look into you. There's a softness in his eyes, a type of attentiveness that feels like he's fully present in that moment with you and only you. He's not checking his phone, he's not distracted, he's locked in. Because in that moment, your presence overrides everything else. On the other hand, if his eyes are distant, scanning the room or shifting constantly, he may be physically present, but emotionally unavailable. This is a subtle but crucial distinction. Real interest focuses. Faked interest wanders. Another thing to note is how his eyes respond to your gaze. If you lock eyes with him and he holds that connection with a slight smile or a curious expression, that's often a clear signal of mutual emotional engagement. If he looks away quickly, but then looks back, he's likely intrigued but shy. And if he avoids your gaze altogether during a greeting, that could be a red flag or a sign of deep nervousness. Context is everything. What matters most is not just that he looks at you, but how he looks at you. There's a quiet intensity in the eyes of a man who's crazy about you. A spark, a warmth, sometimes even a little vulnerability. His eyes may say, "I missed you, I want to know you," or even, "I don't know what this is, but I feel it." So the next time a man greets you, look past the words and straight into his eyes. Because if you're paying attention, you'll hear exactly what his heart is trying to say, without him ever speaking a word. While most people focus on what a man says, very few pay attention to how he says it. But when a man is truly crazy about you, his voice gives him away, whether he wants it to or not. There's an entire emotional current that runs underneath a man's tone when he greets someone he deeply desires. You'll notice it right away. His voice may get softer, warmer, or even more energized. He might stretch out your name just a little longer, or his words might come out quicker, almost like he couldn't hold them in. These changes may seem small, but they are deeply revealing. Think about it. When you're excited, nervous, or emotionally stirred, your voice changes. The same is true for men. If his usual tone is casual or reserved, but suddenly you hear a noticeable brightness or emotional weight in his greeting, take note. That's not random, that's resonant. He's feeling something and it's slipping into his tone before he can control it. Sometimes the biggest giveaways are in the pauses. If he sees you and hesitates for just a second before speaking, that's often the sound of his brain catching up with his feeling. A stutter, a cleared throat, or even just a breath before he says your name. These are signs that you've shifted something inside of him. And then there's volume. Some men unconsciously raise their voice a little when greeting a woman they like. It's a primal form of signaling, an unspoken, "Look, I'm here, notice me." Others do the opposite. They drop their voice slightly, speaking in a lower, more intimate tone. That drop can be intentional or instinctive, but it signals a desire to connect more deeply. It's his body's way of closing the emotional distance. You may also hear a touch of nervous laughter, a sudden change in rhythm, or a barely noticeable tremble. These are all signs that his feelings are bubbling to the surface. Attraction often disrupts a man's usual patterns. When he's into you, his voice might become less polished, less filtered, and more real. That's not weakness, that's emotional exposure. It's also important to listen for how personal his greeting feels. Does he use your name? Does he say it softly, like a secret he doesn't want to share with the room? Or does he speak to you with a warmth that feels different from how he speaks to anyone else? If his voice wraps around your name, like it matters, trust me, it does. A man's voice is not just sound, it's a signal, a carrier of everything he feels, but may not yet know how to say. So when he greets you, listen not just with your ears, but with your intuition. Listen for the emotion beneath the words. Listen for the change. Because once you hear that subtle shift, you'll know he's not just saying hello. He's telling you without saying it that you matter. Words can lie, but the body rarely does. A man might try to act cool, composed, or indifferent when he sees you, but his body always tells the truth first. If you want to know how he really feels the moment he greets you, stop listening and start observing. Pay attention to what he does before he even says hi. Does he stand a little taller, shift his posture, turn his entire body towards you instead of just his head? These are all unconscious signals of respect, admiration, and yes, attraction. When a man is crazy about you, he doesn't just greet you with words, he greets you with his presence. His feet will often point in your direction, a subtle but reliable indicator that you have his full focus. His chest may puff slightly, almost as if his body wants to appear more open and strong. And his shoulders, they'll square toward you, not away. That's the body's instinctive way of saying, "I'm here." I'm present. I'm safe. Now let's talk energy. Every person carries an emotional frequency, an invisible but powerful vibe. When a man is into you, you'll feel his energy before he even speaks. It might feel like a magnetic pull. You'll notice that he subtly leans in, moves closer, or finds reasons to close the physical gap. He may even mimic your movements or match your pace, a phenomenon known in psychology as mirroring, which often indicates emotional alignment. There's also an element of fidgeting. A man who's truly into you might adjust his clothes, run a hand through his hair, or suddenly become hyper-aware of how he's standing. He's not trying to impress everyone, just you. These small physical cues are signs of heightened awareness, often sparked by attraction. But one of the biggest signs to look for is his touch readiness. This doesn't mean he touches you inappropriately. Far from it. It's about how close he gets. Does he hug you warmly and fully, or is it a half-hearted side hug? Does he touch your shoulder, hand, or back, briefly when saying hello? These gestures often speak louder than his entire vocabulary. A man who greets you with warmth, presence, and gentle, respectful contact is showing that he feels emotionally safe with you and likely wants more closeness. And of course there's the smile. Not the polite, automatic one, but the one that reaches his eyes. The one that softens his whole face and lingers longer than it needs to. That smile is telling you, I'm happy you're here. I've been waiting to see you. That kind of smile can't be faked. It's instinctual, pure, powerful. So if you ever doubt how a man feels, watch his body when he greets you. Not his words, his posture, his proximity, his presence. His body is revealing all the things his heart may not be ready to say yet. And when you learn to read that language, you'll finally stop questioning if he's crazy about you, because you'll already know. It might seem like, hey, it's just a greeting, casual, quick, harmless. But if you've ever received a message or been greeted in person and felt something deeper underneath that one simple word, you're not imagining it. The words a man uses to greet you, especially when he's emotionally invested, are never just words. They're a reflection of how comfortable, curious, and connected he feels to you. Let's be honest, a man who's neutral about you will greet you with low-effort phrases, hey, yo, what's up? And while that doesn't automatically mean he's disinterested, it does reveal that he's not yet emotionally engaged on a deeper level. But when a man is truly into you, when he's thinking about you, missing you, even craving your presence, his greeting changes. It becomes more personal, more tailored, and more emotionally rich. He might say your name in full, or use a nickname only he calls you. That name alone, wrapped in familiarity, becomes a form of intimacy. It signals you're different, you matter to me. He may ask you something specific about your day right away. How was your presentation? Did you ever fix your car? Did you get enough sleep? These aren't just casual check-ins. These are emotional anchors that show he's been listening, remembering, caring. Pay attention to the tone and warmth in his words. Does he sound happy to hear from you? Is there an energy, a lightness, or even a bit of vulnerability in his voice or text? Men often struggle to articulate emotions directly, but they will infuse their greetings with meaning. That extra exclamation mark, that emoji, that little inside joke. These tiny additions are like emotional breadcrumbs guiding you to how he truly feels. Even more telling is how quickly he greets you. If you send a message and he replies almost immediately, even with something simple, it's often because he's been waiting for the chance to connect. His words may not be long, but his response time is loud. Men who aren't emotionally available delay. Men who care show up, sometimes through a simple hey you that somehow feels more intimate than a love letter. Sometimes the most romantic words aren't grand declarations. They're the everyday phrases spoken with depth. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Good morning, beautiful. Made me smile seeing your name pop up. That's not just conversation. That's emotion wrapped in routine. And when a man's everyday greeting includes you, it means you've already taken up real estate in his emotional world. So the next time a man greets you, don't just focus on the surface. Listen to the way he says your name. Notice the attention behind his words. Feel the emotional weight in his tone, or the thoughtfulness in a well-timed message. Because when he's crazy about you, his hey will never just be a hey. It will be an echo of everything he's feeling but can't yet say out loud. So you've noticed the signs. His eyes linger longer. His voice softens when he says your name. His body moves instinctively closer when you enter the room. And his greetings feel more personal, more intentional, more about you. Now the question is, what do you do with all of that? The most powerful response you can offer isn't to chase, overanalyze, or immediately define what's happening. It's to receive his energy and reflect it back with grace, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Because when a man is crazy about you, what he's really seeking is emotional safety. He wants to know he can show you those deeper parts of himself without being judged, rejected, or rushed. So when you notice these signs, lean into your feminine presence. That doesn't mean being passive. It means being receptive, calm, open, magnetic. Let your eyes meet his a second longer. Smile, not because you're trying to impress him, but because you see him. Respond to his warm tone with one of your own. Let the conversation slow down enough for the emotional energy between you to rise and speak for itself. When his greeting feels tender or thoughtful, don't brush it off with dry replies. Instead, allow room for connection. A simple "it's always nice to hear from you," or "you always make me smile when you say that," goes a long way. It confirms that you notice his effort and that you appreciate it. That kind of acknowledgement builds intimacy faster than any flirtatious line ever could. If he's greeting you more consistently or initiating with care, match the energy without overgiving. You don't need to outdo him. You just need to be present. Respond in kind, but with the self-respect to never chase. Because remember, what draws a man in and keeps him invested isn't a woman who bends over backwards, but one who makes emotional connection feel safe, exciting, and earned. And when in doubt, stay grounded in your worth. A man who greets you like you matter is a man who sees your value. So don't downplay yourself, get overly self-conscious, or question if you're reading too much into it. Trust your gut. Women are intuitive by nature. If you feel warmth, curiosity, and care radiating from his simple hello, it's probably because it's there. Let your energy remain high value. That means you can appreciate the moment, enjoy the connection, and stay emotionally balanced. You don't need to rush to figure out where it's going. Just be the kind of woman who recognizes effort, responds with warmth, and remains grounded in her self-worth, regardless of how any man feels about her. Because when you master that energy, something magical happens. You stop needing validation and start attracting only the kind of love that sees you clearly and greets you with the intention you truly deserve. There's something almost sacred about those quiet moments when a man greets you and your whole body just knows he feels something real. Maybe it's in the way he says your name. Maybe it's how his eyes soften the second they meet yours. Or maybe it's the way the energy between you shifts the moment you enter the room. Like everything around you gets just a little quieter and all that's left is presence. Love, or even the beginnings of it, rarely announces itself with grand speeches or fireworks. Most of the time it shows up in whispers, in a smile that lasts too long, in a text that says "hey" but feels like "I missed you," in the nervous energy he tries to hide when he's near you. And when a man is crazy about you, it's never just about what he says, it's about what he can't not do when you're around. You'll see it in how consistently he shows up. You'll feel it in how differently he treats you. You'll sense it in the way he tries, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes subtly, but tries to connect with you deeper. He might not even be fully aware of what's happening to him, but his energy speaks louder than his words ever could. And here's the truth. When you're aligned with your worth, your intuition sharpens. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop overanalyzing every message or wondering if you imagined the look in his eyes. You just know, because your soul recognizes that kind of energy. It recognizes when you're being seen, chosen, and respected, not just for your beauty, but for your essence. That knowing doesn't come from desperation or fantasy. It comes from peace. You don't feel the urge to force anything. You don't need to chase. You simply allow, because when a man's heart is drawn to yours, the pull becomes undeniable for both of you. So if you've noticed those greetings that feel a little warmer, a little more intentional, if he lights up when he sees you, remembers small details, or goes out of his way just to say hi in a way that feels personal, pay attention, don't dismiss it, don't downplay it. You may be seeing the quiet beginning of something meaningful. And often that's how the deepest loves begin. Not with a loud bang, but with a whisper that feels like home. The truth is, when it's real, you don't need to question it. It's not confusion, it's clarity. And it's not drama, it's ease. When you know, you know. And the best part, so does he.